I have in my hands.
Ooh. Oh, the latest issue.
Not
Mine's
only the
upstairs.
latest,
Yeah.
the last.
Oh, is it officially?
It, apparently, officially, the print Architect magazine is no more.
I'll tell you, it would have been my last anyway.
Well, you don't have to worry about
well,
it.
yeah, that wasn't going to keep me there anyway.
You know,
That
somebody had,
silly little pamphlet wasn't going to keep me there.
yeah. It actually,
Somebody what?
it's 80 pages, which means that it's
Oh,
actually
more.
more pages than the last time that we
Yeah.
had visited the Architect magazine. Can
Yeah, yeah.
I guess 80 pages does qualify it as a magazine, right?
Sure.
The
Yeah.
pamphlet of 43 pages that we talked
Right.
about in the past does not,
Yeah.
especially when most of them were ads. So
Right. Well, they're still mostly. It's still more than 50%.
I would
ads, I'm
like
sure.
to
Did
say-
you do a count
yeah.
this time?
I would like to say goodbye and good riddance, because honestly, ever since the AIA took over Architect magazine, it has been descending into the depths of pointless hell.
Irrelevance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a better way of saying it.
Politically correct.
Sure, we'll
Yeah,
go with
right.
that. So, yeah. I mean, it's a shame because it used to be a decent magazine that actually, meant something to us. And,
Yeah.
it went the way of the Progressive Architects, Progressive Architecture magazine, Architecture magazine, Architectural Record. I mean, hell, to be quite honest with you, the only periodical that has stayed consistent throughout its entire life of actually being a periodical, like, with some substance, is Architectural Digest. And people bag
Not
on
an
it.
architecture magazine.
I mean, people bag on it as a non-architecture magazine, but at least they've stayed consistent to the mission that they've had, whatever that be.
Pour one out. Pour one out for Architect magazine.
Yeah.
As you said, good riddance. Yeah. I should say, or as you said,
Yeah.
good riddance. Yeah. Funny.
Dwell's still good.
Is it? I haven't seen Dwell in print in a very long time. So
Or at least, well, that's true too.
I'll
It's
take your word for it.
I had a subscription back when
Yeah.
one of the many things that Girl Scouts were peddling was magazine subscriptions.
Pushers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. Totally.
Cookies, magazines,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cookies.
So, rest in peace, Architect magazine.
Rest in pieces.
Well, apparently they're
Wow.
going all digital, and that you can go to AIA.org for all of the information that you would receive in Architect magazine.
Interesting.
Because, yes, most people go to AIA.org for anything other than to check how many CEUs they have.
Well, I don't blame them. I'm sure that is a big driver to get people to go to the website for various reasons, right?
Sure.
I could see what their strategy is there. I mean, you got to get people going there for more reasons than just checking their CEs. So
If people used Architect magazine for anything more than basically a really large coaster on their coffee table, sure.
I got a big beverage.
Exactly. Oh, look, here's something that I could put my dinner plate on.
It's interesting that it took this long. So what you're saying here is that progressive architecture was ahead of its time.
You mean it going away, or
Yes.
yeah? Sadly, it was such a good magazine, though. I loved it.
It was. Don't you have like stacks of them?
I used to. Thankfully, I moved.
Boxes of them?
Thankfully,
You didn't.
I moved.
You didn't bring them with you.
And do you know that my magazine collection took 2 full cans, garbage cans, 3 trips of garbage pickup of 2 cans.
Jeez. Aren't you supposed to recycle those? Come on.
Well, they were. That was the recycle.
Okay.
That was the it was the recycle bin.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I don't know. I don't know what the real state of recycling is in the United States,
True.
but you would still feel bad if it weren't in air quotes getting recycled, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's happening. Is recycling is happening in air quotes.
Yeah. True. And
Yeah.
And so, I had a friend who used to clip like images in out of the magazines, and would basically make almost like a flip book of ideas and things like that.
We did that too. Yeah. In the office, we had several 3-ring binders with the plastic sleeves full of images from architectural magazines and other, probably automotive magazines and woodworking magazines and all kinds of things. Yeah.
All the and I don't think we do that anymore. And here's the interesting thing about that is, like, how do we, and I say we as the proverbial we and not as like you and I, because there is a little bit of history of kind of like the paper periodicals and things like that, but where do people go to search, like, first have that knowledge of, because like I would flip through, and I keep looking over here, but I would flip through these magazines, and I would make mental notes. It's like, oh, I remember that project from BCJ, and I would make mental notes of it, and I'm like, oh, I remember that project, and then I have this, I guess, uncanny ability to basically store stuff like that in my memory. The useless stuff of, like, projects, and like, I remember this project from such and such, and then I would like go and click online and like pull it up and say, isn't this sort of what we were talking about, and I remember a friend of mine, she would look at me and she was like, where do you have room for all of this stuff in your head? I was like, that's all I've got in my head. Like, why are you giving me credit? Why are you giving me credit that I actually have anything else in my head?
Mostly useless. Yes,
exactly. Do you want to know what kind of engine a 1969 Corvette has? Let's talk. Do you want to know, like, what my elementary school teachers' names were? I have no clue. None. Zero.
Yeah. I'm very similar in that regard, and it really plagued me during my architectural exams, because it's like, I need to remember this stuff because I want to pass these tests. Yeah. But I can tell you every car that I've ever owned, and there's a lot of them, right? Like make, model, year, color, every bit of data. But can I tell you, which contract document that this particular thing is found in from AIA? Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope. Brutal.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because so like I stored all of that information for the AREs in my head for the time period that I needed it. And then
it's gone. Then purge, the super purge command, from AutoCAD, whatever.
The AREs actually tell me that how to detail, say, a curtain wall assembly that transitions to a soffit to, a parapet condition or something? No. So why do I need the information on the ARE? I need the information that actually gets buildings built.
I think we've talked about this before, but it's about playing that game when you need to play that game, right? Which is pass those tests. Yeah. And so it's like, when do you need to know that? Just to pass those tests.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's when you need to know it. And then you don't need to know it anymore, because the answer is, more often than not, just look it up nowadays, right?
Yeah. So. I remember, and just like some of the questions they would give you, it's like, multiple choice. It's like, is it A? Is it B? Is it A and B? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, what if it's all of them? Because I've been in the game so long that I've
literally
experienced.
I've been in all those situations. Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's the answer that is the typical answer, which is it depends, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, what's the time of day? What was the mood?
Where's the project located?
Exactly.
What phase were we in?
What was the tone?
What was the delivery model?
Well, what was the tone of the conversation of the week prior?
Who sent the email?
Our feelings still hurt?
Right.
All of those things.
Yeah. Who stands to gain from this?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess now we're turning our knowledge of inspiration over to AI. I mean, is that where we go? I mean, how are, like, we would go through this Rolodex of existing projects and stuff, but we would know about them. We would either know about them from periodicals in the library or periodicals that we got sent through our membership to the AIA, and all of these other things. And I can honestly say in the last year, I've flipped through one to prove to you how many ads were in a magazine. But I don't know if I actually read it. I looked at some of the pictures, sure. But I don't think I read the articles because, I mean, it was like when an article is clearly poorly written, poorly structured, and it's relying mostly on images. That was what we were trying to get out of these things, right? That's what these were all about. Is like, show me the pretty image, show me the floor plan. Me, it's like, okay, I like that. How did they build that? Because I would like to, understand that. And so I go to searching, I've got my other ways of searching for things like that. But, so now, just curious, how are we going to find inspiration since the paper?
It's social media. That's where it is now. It's social. I wouldn't say it's AI. I think there are people making up things in AI that they wouldn't have expected to maybe use as a starting point, or they're looking for weird things. And by weird, I don't mean like truly weird. I just mean unexpected. Like by typing something into a prompt and seeing what it returns, and kind of being on a treasure hunt of sorts. It's interesting in that regard. But I think the inspiration is still. People still have tons of Pinterest boards. People are still saving images, grabbing images, scrolling through images, and the attention span is 3 seconds per image. Yeah. But I've got a bunch of bookmarks on Instagram of things that I like from architecturally that fit into the architectural category that I might go back and look through every once in a while. Usually not, but they're there.
I should probably do architecture. Like cars, I got tons of bookmarked posts on cars.
Didn't even cross your mind, huh? To make an architecture.
Well, actually, most of them is just like, what have I shared with Evan? And I could flip through stuff that way.
That's just memes. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, it's funny that you say AI. I've been wanting to talk about. I want to do like a show and tell, and I've been thinking about it kind of in categories. Like there's the image category, there's the writing category, and there's the audio category, which I thought would be fun too, especially for the podcast. And I don't know if this all gets squeezed into one episode. I kind of don't think it does, but because it's a little too much. Or we could just kind of lightly go over all three of those and maybe do a deeper dive later if people are interested in that. Being a podcast, I think that the audio and the written, because we can read it, might go over better than visual image making stuff. But I think as architects, we're way more interested in the visual stuff. So we do have a YouTube show here. People could watch it on there if you're listening and we end up showing something. We'll prompt people to go over and watch it, that part of the episode on YouTube. But I don't know. What do you think? I thought it might be kind of fun great. To get into the stuff that I've been playing with. Have you been playing with AI stuff at all?
I'm just going to go out.
You're not allowed to say.
I'm going to go out.
You feel like you're
that HR is not listening. So if by some slim chance, I admit to the fact that I used some AI to help me craft some end of year review of my own. Because
write something nice about Cormac Vela.
Well, I filled it with prompts. Most of the time what I do, and so here's what's interesting, is maybe I don't use AI to its fullest to explore things beyond, I tend to write some things out and I ask AI to write it a little bit better.
Oh man, that's actually really a great hack, I think. I mean, and it's pretty incredible, right? How often it does write it better.
Oh yeah,
it's like, can you just make this better? Yeah.
Because I wrote what sounded like a decent review, but it seemed a little stale, and so I copied and pasted it, and I wrote it. I wrote a few prompts and pasted it in there and had it rewrite it, and the gist of everything that I was saying or wanted to say was there, but so much better in the way that it was presented than what I did. And I was just like,
well, and you're not a writer. You're not a writer, right? And you do drawings, you do a lot of writing, you do a lot of communication, I'm sure, over email, and you have to write a lot of notes on drawings and things like that. But so if you had the choice to communicate visually or in writing, which would be the first one that you would pick?
Well, okay, that's actually kind of hard to say because you would automatically assume visually. However, if you think,
let me just say why I would assume that too. I would assume that just because you're way more practiced, and that would be the one that you would pick because you do it more often, and it's like picking up a pencil or a pen and drawing something and giving it to somebody is no big deal. Whereas, now I have to completely reframe my approach to get in writing mode and write.
So whether it's like the stylus here on drawing on screen so that we can sit and talk through things, or piece of paper, I was just having coffee with somebody and I was explaining something to them, and I was just like, hold on, and I pull out my little notepad and my pen and started to sketch out what I was talking about, because yes, you're right, I am more visual and I tend to discuss things with paper and pencil far more effectively. And so I can, walk through that. I do enjoy writing though. And if you remember back in the day when we used to do the, those like Archie Talks, is that what they're called?
Those blog posts.
Yeah, the blog posts and stuff. I mean, I rather enjoyed doing those because it did push me out of my comfort zone. But when it comes to, say, writing a review about your goals for the next year kind of thing or whatever, I don't write about myself. I'm one of these people who...
Those have always been difficult. I think that is very difficult work to do, because it is a total shift in
exactly
shifting gears, as it were, of what you do versus thinking in that way. And it's like, all of a sudden you're crawling through mud because you're not used to it.
Exactly. So I had some help. Whether it was AI or my wife, it would have been one of the two.
A little bit of both. Yeah. What's the difference?
Exactly. I mean,
she doesn't listen either.
Ask an elementary school teacher to help you out, or ask AI. I mean, the teacher's busy.
No,
so
she would be like, don't bother. Why are you bothering me? The AI is happy to help.
Exactly. It was just like, use the tools you have.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. I've been playing around with a bunch of different things, and I think it would be fun to show off a couple of just things that for me were kind of eye-opening. So what tool are you using to do the writing?
Just ChatGPT through my Chrome browser.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So do you have an account there, or are you just using the free one?
I use the free one.
Yeah. Okay. I figured you're a cheapskate.
Of course. I mean,
here we go.
You keep sending me links. It's like, this is what you need to buy. I'm like, ooh, but look, I found this on I found this on sale, so I bought this instead. You're like, that's not the same thing. And while Evan's bringing this up, there was a different way for me to tether my camera to my computer, and Evan sent me the camera capture card.
Yeah. Right.
And he sent me one. It was $100, and of course I went online and found a much cheaper one and bought that instead because
yeah,
I'm cheap and don't like to spend money.
Yep, you're cheap. All right, here we go. Yeah. One of my Chat GPT windows here, and this one says, "Design a logo for the Archispeak podcast."
Interesting.
And just to see what would happen, different image generators out there. So this is using DALL-E 3 that you can see up here in the corner. And so for those of you listening, this is a visual part of the show, and I'm sharing my screen, and you can catch that on the YouTube version of this episode, and there's a link to it in the show notes, so you don't even have to go search for it. But you can see here in the corner it's using ChatGPT 4, and you can see
spell our podcast.
The reason I said can't even spell it, even though I spelled it out for it. It still didn't spell Archispeak correctly, which is hilarious. And this is, I would not use this to design a logo, but I might use it to generate logo ideas, right? And so my prompt, this is how I think most people approach using tools like this, is like, ask it a question or just tell it to do something. And it's the simplest sentence. My 17-year-old does this. He goes, I didn't get good results, and I told it to make this thing. And I'm like, it totally matters what you type into that box. 100%. It matters. And you have to, just like we all had to learn to talk to the little tube device in the corner that is listening for its name right now, that starts with the letter A, or Siri, or any of these tools. You had to learn to talk to it. Oh, see, my iPad just turned on right there, and it's waiting for me to tell it to do something. And so it's like that you had to learn to talk its language, and you have to do that with these too. Even though it is much more of a natural language processor, it's still looking for descriptive detail prompting, right? It's not, it can respond to a very dumb query, but at the same time, you're going to get better results with a better prompt. And the whole concept of prompt engineering and how dumb that actually sounds, right? It's still kind of true. And will it get better over time? Absolutely. I think we're still in the earliest days of this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's interesting here. So I just said, design a logo for the Archispeak podcast. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I want to show you some way more interesting stuff. But it says, here's the logo design for the Archispeak podcast. It incorporates elements that symbolize architecture, such as stylized drawings of a building, blueprint, and architectural tools, combined with modern typography. The color scheme is a professional mix of blue, black, and white, which it's very professional. What's interesting is I didn't tell it anything about the Archispeak podcast. It doesn't know that it's architecture. It doesn't know blueprints. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say architectural tools, and it totally did. It obviously has knowledge. We've been around for a while. I'm sure it's crawled our data on the web, right, to do its training, so it probably had something in there. But I just thought that was kind of interesting because, again, just giving it the dumbest prompt, it came back with something that was, if you told me to design an Archispeak podcast as a logo as an architect, I would ask you a bunch of questions, right? I would say, I would go through kind of a discovery process with you. What are your goals? What does it need to, what color scheme? What kind of fonts? Like, as a designer, there's all kinds of things I would want to glean from you to enter into a iterative design process. Yeah. And you can look at this the same way. You can continue to add more information. You can continue to tweak. You can go back and tweak the previous prompt, or you can add more information to another prompt. You can do all kinds of tricks like that to make it an iterative process. But you noticed it didn't even spell the
So what's interesting is, you had the one line prompt, and it came back and that's what it gave you. And so then I'm now looking at your next prompt, which is so much more detail. You even gave brand designer name prompts and all of these other things. And so it's interesting that, again, as you always say, garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. If you're giving more and more information, boom, there you go. Which is
interesting about this next prompt is it is a lot more minimal. And so I did a lot more prompting, and I got a more refined, let's call it, less eclectic design. And this is one of the tricks that I think applies to no matter if you're doing text or image based. Right. You want to give the AI an identity. You want to tell it who it is. How it should respond to you is partly wrapped up in who it is assuming to be, right? So in this next prompt, I said, you are expert brand designer Paul Rand. A new company called Archispeak has just hired you to design their logo. Archispeak is a podcast about all things architecture, design tools, and work-life balance to generational differences, mentoring, job hunting, and more. I literally copied that out of our about page on our website. The podcast has been going since 2012, so include the established date to show longevity. And so it did that. And what's funny is it even wrote some additional text, like gobbledygook text across the top. It's like placeholder text. Like that could be anything. And those aren't words, right? It's like X bevel set and designator or something. But it did get our name right this time, Speak, and it even included the word podcast. It's got the word podcast in following a curve. How long would it take you to draw this logo in Adobe Illustrator?
Quite a while.
Yeah, right? It would probably take a couple hours at least, right?
It'd take a couple hours, but, then there's the, how many times would I have sketched it on a piece of paper, to just say, what, my thoughts are and all this other stuff. I mean, other than the gobbledygook kind of words up top, I'm kind of digging that one. It's clean, it's simple.
It's got symmetry, though. I don't know about the symmetry, but the other has symmetry, too. So it says, here's the logo design for the Archispeak podcast. Inspired by the style of Paul Rand, it features minimalist and iconic design reflecting Rand's philosophy of simplicity and effectiveness in communication. That's why I gave it that prompt. Yeah. It's like, okay, he's done really famous logos. We don't even need to go into like look it up.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Done really famous logos, and
almost every logo that you can think of, it was probably him, or
that are like really burned into your memory as memorable, iconic. Exactly. He's done some of those. Yeah, and so then I started playing off that thing that's going around right now, which is like make it more. Right? There's this whole thing going on with DALL-E, and I don't know that it's going on with Midjourney, but with DALL-E generated images, there's people out there who start off with a prompt and then they just say, make it more and make it more of this and make it more of this. And it just keeps going and going and going. And so I wanted to do that. So I said, make it more architectural. Use compositional inspiration from Mondrian, Bauhaus, Richard Neutra, Charles and Ray Eames. And then it just like couldn't do it. And I think this is where it starts to get into like, some of the ethics and governance behind AI. And basically, I think it thought that I was asking it to do something in the style of that starts to fall under intellectual property and copyright and things like that, right? So
interesting.
So I think that there is something going on there, right? And so it said I can't do it. It says I'm unable to generate images based on your request because it doesn't align with our content policy. Okay, so these are roadblocks that we will run into, and usually that it just means you got to think of a different way to say it if you wanted to get around that.
Yeah.
So I would forget it. Make it more architectural. And so this one's. So here's kind of an image of a city skyline with graphic design elements. It got our name spelled correctly. For some reason, the C in Archispeak is gray when all the other letters are white. It's definitely using a modern.
That's for me.
Sans serif typeface. And then the word podcast has 2 D's in it. What? cast. And it does still have the established in 2012 and more architectural. So I just started like.
Well, go back up to that one. That one has a very Metropolis kind of feel to it.
It's kind of Brazil, Metropolis. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So it's black and white, kind of like our
more architectural.
So then more architectural with an exclamation point, and now we're starting to get like line drawings with rulers and erasers and fountain pens stashed in this, and definitely like a blueprint vibe in the background. So and so then at the end, I'm getting toward the end here. I said, thank you. I like, and so one of the tricks also with this is to be complimentary, and it actually will give you better results when you ask nicely, when you throw it a bone, when you do things like this. So I was like, thank you. I like this direction. Since this is a podcast, it should include hints of microphones, headphones, speakers, and other hi-fi stereo equipment, don't you think? And so then it comes back with,
hey, Hal.
Yeah, this is so there's a microphone right in the middle. There are several microphones. There's some headphone elements.
I like this. I like the speakers, the fountain pen nib. You know, there's some
speakers and fountain pen nibs and all, and now so we're using the eye and Archispeak, and the typeface here is super weird, right?
Yeah.
And then then under there it just says established, and there's no date. So we're just established. It looks kind of like a syringe at the bottom. I don't know what.
Thank you. You know, I was going exactly there. I'm like, what? I mean, is that a commentary on our content?
It looks like scale. It's not. It kind of looks like a scale that's a microphone. I can't really what that is. So again, here's the updated logo, and it talks about how it's stylized images of microphones, headphones, speakers, and hi-fi stereo equipment, which is what I asked for, blended with architectural features. And then I said it needs a better balance of architectural and audio equipment, but it should also include ideas from mid-century modernism. So now we actually get a color palette.
Wow.
And it did spell Archispeak wrong again. Now it added two S's. Every time it's done it a little bit differently. And this one kind of has a little bit of a Metropolis kind of, Jetsons vibe to it, if I had to say something.
Kind of that.
Maybe Star Warsy in a little bit.
Well, that's that pseudo Sputnik kind of patterns that they used to do.
Yeah. So
one of my
this was a fun little exercise of like logo design, but obviously you can do this for all kinds of.
But I mean, think about this. So think about being able to type out kind of what you're thinking and it generating, some pretty decent content of just ideas that help you, in a way, I mean, as a tool to be able to kind of like spark your imagination a little bit. Think about things, slightly different than the way that you were thinking about them. Sometimes if you get stuck on something, you're like, gosh, I can't think of it's just like kind of want it to be a little bit more, mid-century, and kind of have this like Sputnik vibe, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, you type that in and it helps you generate ideas. It doesn't generate that final product that you're going to be sending off to someone. It generates ideas that help you get over thresholds of other ideas or the next step or the next thought.
So I wrote this blog post. You and I talked about my experience at Autodesk University in the last episode, and I wrote a blog post and I included photos with everybody who'd been on my podcast who was at the show. And I put their names and their company names below each one of the photos. Mm-hmm. And those linked to their episodes and stuff like that. So what I did is I just selected all this and I copied it and pasted it into Notion. And okay, so Cormac, let's say that I wanted you to write a list of every one of those guests that was in this blog post, because when you post this to LinkedIn, I want you to tag all those people so that they are aware that this blog post exists and that they're mentioned in it. What would you do? Like, how many photos? There's like 26 photos on this page. Their names are already here on this page. You could go and select each one, right? Copy, paste it into a list. Okay, now how could I leverage AI to do this instead? So that's what I did. At the bottom here, I just type a space and I say, make a list of all the people in this blog post.
And you have officially put out of business some poor intern. Or
yes. AI is the new architectural intern.
Or what you've done is you've freed up that intern to actually learn about architecture and not about list making.
Not about stupid things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty incredible, right?
That's
okay.
Fantastic.
How does it? There's no designation that those are names in the blog post.
Mm-hmm.
It's inferring all of that. I don't have to explicitly say the first two words in every caption below every photo is the name of somebody.
Right.
It just grabbed all those names and threw them into a bulleted list at the bottom of the page. Now I can take that list and paste it into my LinkedIn post and link to tag those people very easily. I just thought, okay, wow, that kind of blew my mind. I didn't have to do that by hand. That was really cool. Which,
again, how long would it have taken, somebody to do that? If they're billable, they'd stretch it out to an hour.
Good point. Totally right.
Right.
You're totally right.
Yep. 2 seconds later, you have your list. And what we really should hope for is to people not pay attention to how quickly, they can get information from us.
So I will say, you would definitely want to go through and actually read these names.
Right.
Make sure they're real people. Make sure that the list is complete. Make sure that that it didn't flip anybody's name or do something weird with the spelling like we saw in the logo example, right?
Right.
But that was a huge time saver. And I think, again, just looking at this really quickly, it looks like it nailed it on the first try. I didn't even have to adjust anything. So pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's cool. One of the things that I'll do is I use this built-in field called AI summary, and you can see here, like it says, this document is a blog post about the author's experience at AU, featuring a list of guests from the podcast and their associated links. The author mentions some omissions in the photos and expresses interest in getting photos of certain individuals in the future. And you could say, oh, that kind of sucked. Try again. But the summary feature of AI, I think, is very useful. So we've talked about this in the past, using it to summarize meeting minutes, come up with action items, identify who needs to take care of those things. And again, do you need to double check all that? Yeah, you would double check it if an intern did it too, right? So it is a great analogy is treating this as your intern, who's your virtual assistant basically, who's doing this stuff, and you're still responsible for the information or the images that come out of it if you're gonna be using those for any purpose. And there's way more conversation that needs to happen around that side of things as well.
How quickly you can get that done.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, Evan, I need you to make a list and do a summary of this blog post and make a list of all of the people that were, mentioned in all of that. And, so, you ask somebody to do it. They, go away, they do it. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe they get distracted. Maybe they, were at the coffee machine a little too long. And then 2 hours later, you get something, and then you have to QC it, and it may be exactly the same thing as what was created in AI, but it's 2 hours later, whereas this is 2 minutes later, and in the list, 2 seconds later. And, yes, you still have to go through the QC and everything else, but it makes us more efficient to worry about, we always talk about like, what are the tools that make us more productive in what we want to do, and let someone else or something else help us with the things that we're not really interested in doing, or we know that it's a part of our job, but it's, really something that, God, is there a way to automate, making a list of names? Well, guess what? There are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I thought of another image one that I wanted to show you, and then we'll finish off with an audio one. Okay, so here's a Rhino model that I've just opened up. This was a house that I was working on, a design for my parents, actually, for that isn't going to happen. But what I did was I thought I've been playing around with this one, and this image generating one, but it's using my image as the base. So instead of asking it to come up with something from scratch, I'm going to use it to come up with something from this image. And so this is, we're seeing a lot of tools in this realm. There's a lot of things that are using what's called diffusion models. They're using stable diffusion, where you can throw anything at it. It doesn't have to be a 3D model. It could literally be a sketch. It can be a very loose sketch. And you can then use that to, again, kind of ideate different surfaces, materials, lighting, mood. One of the really popular tools in the architectural space for this is called Veris. And Veris has a rendering plugin for Revit, SketchUp, and Rhino. So you can actually have it running right inside your application. They also have a web version, and it doesn't have to plug into architectural software. So you can also get Veris, who is built by architects, to, again, just by throwing images into it. So if I have a 3D modeling program that wasn't on that list that I just told you, say I use something completely different, if I can save images out of it, I can throw it into there and still use it. And it's really tailored toward architects. So it's thinking about architectural materials. It's thinking about lighting and mood and perspective and all those things. And the one that I'm not going to show you Veris because I don't have Veris, but I did want to show you this tool called VisCom. And so here's that image brought into VisCom. And so it's called viscom.ai, VIZCOM.ai. And I think this is mostly aimed at people who create products. So if you've got shoes, or you sell rockets, or you sell cars, or robots, or whatever it is, this is always going to be using an image that you supply it to come up with something else. I think it works really well for products, but I don't know that it works too well for architecture. This is just a stock image out of Rhino using, I think, Arctic mode in this case. But now let's just say I wanted to put this in front of a client, or maybe I don't want to put it in front of a client yet. But what are you feeling here? Like let's type in something.
Like a horizontal cedar plank siding.
Okay, so I'm going to say mid-century modern house with warm wood siding. Let's just start with something really basic. Sure. Okay, now the only slider you have here, and I have the free account. I'm not using a paid account. You can see down here below there's the number of images. So like Midjourney, you can actually get 4 results if you get a paid account. I'm going to get 1 result. And then there's different styles here, and this has to do with like I'm going to do VisCom General, which is stunning photorealistic imagery that puts the focus on your product. Volume is 3-dimensional look with emphasis on depth and form. So I think this is more like what you were just talking about, right? Yeah. Which is more of a clay model or a styrofoam. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really about looking at the shapes and not really discussing materiality or anything yet.
Right.
And then there's pastel, which is gentle and soothing color palette inspired by the soft hues of pastel colors. So I'm going to just leave it on VisCom General for now. And the only slider we have is drawing influence. And so this is kind of like How much margin are you giving Viscom to be creative or to stick with what you gave it? Like right now, I've set it at 50%, which means I wouldn't be surprised if some of these windows go away. I wouldn't be surprised if it changed the railing in this deck. So we'll see what happens. So the higher the slider, the more it respects what you put in. The lower the slider, the less it respects what you put in, and it comes up with new things. So I'm just going to hit generate. Does not take long to do this. Okay, so it did vertical siding. I didn't tell it what direction to run it. I don't even know if it would respect it if I did. But, I mean, how long would it have taken you to come up with that rendering based on that if you had the geometry? Now you've got to go find the textures. Maybe you have them, maybe you don't.
Right.
You have to apply those textures and materials to the glass, the reflectivity. You've got to find the background. You've got to find the foreground. You've got to find the entourage, the trees, the bushes, all that kind of stuff. You got to put it into place. You got to set up the lighting, right?
No, yeah.
That took 20 seconds. Let's play with it now, right? So let's just take away with warmwood siding, let's say in a grassy hillside setting at dusk. So now I'm starting to put in, I'm not just talking about the objects, right? I'm talking about the scene.
Right. I did notice that it put like some side windows and some other things.
Yeah, check this out. It put some weird little window down there on the side, but now it's got like white plaster, and it's got actually has a little deck sticking out the side of the house. That's kind of cool. It turned my chimney into kind of a chimney light pole kind of looking weird thing. But look, there's actually interior in here now.
Right.
Pretty wild. So this is a fun app because again, you can literally take a picture of something you drew on trace, throw it into here, and it will literally turn it into a photorealistic rendering. It does not have to start with this clay model. Let me show you an example of this. As I was playing with this with my son. This is his drawing of a supercar. Okay, this drawing is literally like 2 inches across. It is very tiny. You can see the thickness of. He's drawing this with a mechanical pencil. The proportions of this supercar are weird, right? Super weird.
Yeah.
What do you think it could do with this? Like, can it turn this into a photorealistic rendering? This was the very first thing we threw into here, and this is when I started to pay attention, because if I go through here, here's what it came up with.
Incredible.
It's a weird car, right?
That's not that's
not the point. It's let me like if I scroll down and show you different versions of this car, like it is. He started to. You can actually draw things on top of this it will then take those new pen strokes into consideration and use those to build the next iteration on. So we put into the prompt yellow supercar, right? Something super basic, and it came up with this oddly shaped, weirdly proportioned, very realistic looking supercar.
Corvette, Lamborghini, Ferrari hybrid.
Yeah, exactly. All the surfacing, like super weird hood. Guess what?
Yeah.
Like he had a super long weird hood too, right? He had to emphasize this rear scoop, right? Yeah. There it is.
Short rear overhang, big massive front overhang. I mean,
I'm flipping back and front between the rendering and his sketch. Check it out.
That door notch. You know, all of that stuff is there in keeping with the original sketch. And it's fun. That's really fun.
Yeah, and I'm turning on and off this supercar layer on top of his sketch. What's weird is look at, like, it actually did a better job of making the hood of the car symmetrical. It used his outer edge line on the hood on the left as a ridge in the sheet metal instead of making that the edge of the car,
right?
Which is super tricky. But the way that the glass kind of scoops down on the door, on the top of the door, look at that. What? This is wild. So Cormac, let me just, there's people out there who are like, this is BS. I can't believe, like, okay, so first of all, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's never going back in.
Right. Right. Exactly.
The look on his face when this, okay, here's the first one that showed up, right? Without the blue and the white on it, but because he drew on top of it. But this is the first one that showed up. Look at this scoop in the back compared to his. It's exact. Look at the wing. It's exact. My son says his brain was like buzzing. There were sparks flying out of his ears. He said, "I designed that car." And the excitement that he had is what I want architects to feel again when they're working on a project. Right. I want someone to get so excited when they see their creations come to life, when they get to play with their tools and get results like that. Like, I just want to see people act like a kid again when they get to do the thing that kids dream about doing when they grow up. That's what architects do. And we get so mangled and mired in email and spreadsheets and PDFs and details of schedules and did they send this email and did they sync to central and did they do all, and it's just like, oh my God, we're wasting. This is way more fun and interesting and creative. Yeah.
How much of a blast, if doing sketches and, putting them into this and doing that is far more exciting than a lot of the stuff that we have to do on a daily basis. And I guess it's useful. Like I keep thinking, there are still the naysayers who are concerned that this is going to take their job. This is not going to take your job. This is going to take away the job of somebody who doesn't do anything about it. I think if you are just literally holding a spot for a robot in the future, like I would argue that you already don't have a job. Right.
If you're doing the stuff that a robot is going to do soon or later, you are literally just a placeholder for that robot. Do something creative, do something useful, do something inspirational for a client. Do something that inspires the next version of the thing that you do, not the same thing doing it again the way you've always done it, right? I'm not interested in this for efficiency. I'm interested in this for like that spark. I think that is what is so incredible about the potential of this stuff. So anyway, that's my soapbox for that. This is fun stuff. And you've got to play with it for yourself. So I've given you some destinations, but I would love to take your stilt houses. You've got to put those in here. Like that we should make an episode. Let's do an episode and let's just do it. You just need to get some photos and let's go in and play, and we'll put it on YouTube and people can watch it. I think it would be fun just to do like a live workshop,
Let's do that.
All right, so let's do the last one. All right, so I'm gonna. Can I real quick before I jump into it? Can I get your permission to create a AI Cormac Phelan voice?
Sure.
Okay, that was the right answer.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Let me first talk about how I did this. All right, before we play what Cormac, an AI version of Cormac. I'm going to tell you how I did this. So there's an AI service out there that it's called 11 Labs. It's 11 Labs, all spelled out, .io. And if you go, I'm going to share my screen again here. Okay, so you go to 11 Labs and you go to the Voice Lab tab and you say add generative or cloned voice. And you're just going to do instant voice cloning. This does take a paid account. I got a paid account for a month because I did an episode on AI for Troxel Podcast, and I used this to create my voice for that first. And that's where I learned how to do this. It cost me $1 for a month to use this. I don't see myself using this after this, but I just thought it was a fun experiment. So you click on that, and then you can upload a sample, and so you can upload audio or video. Obviously, all you really need is audio, so you upload an MP3. It should be of good quality. You do need the permission that you have all the rights and consents to upload the voice sample. So if it's yourself, you can give yourself permission. If somebody else, you need to ask their permission. But you can see here, it says sample quality is more important than quantity. Noisy samples may give bad results. Providing more than 5 minutes of audio brings little improvement. So I uploaded about 3 minutes of audio for you and me. It was not a big deal because we record a podcast. We have lots of audio of ourselves, and it really doesn't matter what you pick to send it. You can just pick about 3.5, 4 minutes of you talking, and what you're looking for is kind of a wide range of. It does an amazing job of capturing your tones and the different kind of traits that you show when you're speaking, right? So it's really good at picking up on that stuff. Yeah. And okay, so what's interesting is when we listen to it, and I want you to play the Cormac one, and I want you to play it all the way through. It is 1 minute long, roughly. And I want you to listen through, and I want you to listen in a very detailed way. I want you to listen for ands and ums. I want you to listen for pauses. I want you to listen for breaths in the speech, because I don't type that in. I don't type in, take a breath here. It just puts them in. So let's listen to Cormac.
Welcome to the final ArcaSpeak podcast episode of 2023. I just wanted to, to say thank you to all the listeners out there who have been with us all these years and through all these conversations. It's been great getting to know you, and thanks for showing up. It really means the world to us. 320 episodes of us architects telling tales from the trenches. Wow. I can't believe we've talked that much, And before we get into this one, let me take a minute, to just tell you how much I enjoy the company of my co-host, Evan Troxel. I really can't express in words how impactful he's been in my life and career and things like that over the last 11 years of podcasting, and how much he's, shaped my thinking as an architect. I can't think of a better co-host to have working with me on the show. So that's it. I just wanted to get that out as we kick this off. Okay, I've said my piece. I'm actually getting a little emotional, which is making me uncomfortable. I think I might cry. So, Evan, you're going to have to take it from here.
Why are you shaking your head?
Why am I shaking my head? Because it got to the point where apparently Evan has typed in, all of this praise that Cormac is showering upon Evan. So I'm like, I would have never said that.
That's not the point, Cormac.
But it's scary how mannerisms, breath tones, pauses, all of that, all of what I'm doing right now is, how I speak and how I talk, and how when I'm talking to people, it's funny because, when I start talking and I get like on this like rant or tangent about something, I'll talk so much or so quickly or like for so long that I will be out of breath. And I'm like, kind of like, and it's AI is capturing all of that, which is both amazing and scary at the same time.
Let me show you what I wrote. So I told you I trained it on your 3.5 minutes of I did not pay attention at all to what audio I uploaded to this thing. I just grabbed pieces from a conversation that we had.
I'm sure you paid a little bit of attention to, making sure I provided you with lots of praise and gratitude.
Yeah, I grabbed all those pieces. No. Okay, so obviously I tried to think of something that would be funny. So here's what I wrote.
It was actually.
I wrote all this out, and you can see I even I did have to tweak this. So when I wrote the word archispeak, it said archispeak, right? And so what am I going to do when that happens? I'm going to change what I wrote so that it emphasizes the word in the way that I want it to. So I wrote arca speak instead of archispeak. But I wrote in things that I also knew are the way that you spoke. Right? So I've I added things in there. Like I added, I wrote, where was something else that I put in here that I put, because I edit the show, you edit the show, you know what my verbal things are, I know what yours are. And so in one of the things I said, right here, I said, I can't really express in words how impactful he's been in my life and career and things like that. Because you say, and things like that. And so it's not like it's going to add that in by itself.
Sure.
But it did add in things by itself, right? It did add in ums.
Right. It did.
And it adds in stumbles, and it adds in breaths, and it adds in pauses. And so there are a few sliders in here that you can actually use when you are doing this to get different results. And they're not a lot, but you can change the stability. And so if you just hover over this, it says increasing variability can make speech more expressive with output varying between regenerations. So you do have to hit regenerate, and you have to wait for it. It can also lead to instabilities. And if you slide it towards more stable, it says it makes the voice more consistent between regenerations, but it can also make it sound a bit more monotone. So depending on how much variation you want in the output, I tend to keep this slider more toward the left than the right, because I don't want monotone. I don't want it to sound like you're reading something. I want it to sound like it really came from you in this case.
I enjoyed the company of my co-host, Evan Troxel.
So then we have the clarity and similarity enhancement, and this kind of depends on background. This is basically dependent on the quality of the recording you give it. So I'm toward the higher end on this one because I want a clear voice, and I want it to be as similar to your voice as possible. So on this slider, I'm more towards the higher end. And then there's style exaggeration, which is, it says high values are recommended if the style of the speech should be exaggerated compared to the uploaded audio. So I did not want to exaggerate it really far from your recording, right? And so it might be fun to play with those and see what happens. But you only get a certain amount
of... You sound like a used car salesman.
Yeah. You only get a certain number of generations per month with a paid account. I don't think I'd run out, but at the same time, I don't have all day to play with this. So anyway, you can see this is what I wrote. And so now you can play my file because it's basically the same thing, because I thought it would only be fair if I said the nice things about you that you said about me.
Oh, yeah.
And I did change a couple of words, but for the most part, it's the same text. And I did put in things in the text to hopefully indicate pauses like ellipses and commas, things like that. But other than that, like all of the timing is really based on the training data that it used that I uploaded for me. And then a couple of different words, because one of my verbal things, I say, right? Quite often at the when we're speaking. So I added one of those in. Go ahead and play it, and let's listen. Welcome to the final Archispeak podcast episode of 2023. I just wanted to say thank you to all the listeners out there who have been with us all these years and through all these conversations. It's been great getting to know you, and thanks for showing up. It really means the world to us. 320 episodes of architects telling tales from the trenches. And wow, I can't believe we've talked that much, right? And before we get into this one, let me take a moment to just tell you how much I enjoy the company of my co-host, Cormac Phelan. I really can't express in words how impactful he's been in my life and career over the last 11 years of podcasting, and how much he's shaped my thinking as an architect. I can't think of a better co-host to have working with me on the show. So that's it. I just wanted to get that out as we kick this off. So there you go. I've said my piece. I'm actually getting a little emotional, which is making me uncomfortable, and I think I might cry. So, Cormac, you're going to have to take it from here.
All right. So let me just say, whereas mine actually sounded a little more choked up, yours sounded a little bit more like you're trying to convince yourself that the words you're saying are plausible. It was an interesting variation, but I mean, what's interesting. I mean, that's our voice.
So if you heard that, and we didn't preamble all this with here's some AI versions of us, would you have known?
Right.
Would you have been inclined to think that it might not be me? Or would you have just accepted it?
I think there are more of me mannerisms in my AI generated, whereas yours did sound a little bit, I don't know, the first half of it actually sounded very much you. The second half of it didn't necessarily. In fact, in a way, even like the tone sounded slightly different if you listen to it. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I did close my eyes and I was just kind of like trying to like really listen. It was like, is that Evan? And it was Evan. The voice I'm hearing is Evan. It's just maybe because
maybe it's the writing.
Maybe it was the writing. Maybe the words that AI Evan was saying, were a little unbelievable. So, I just kind of didn't believe it. But
what do you mean? I was actually tearing up.
I didn't feel like the emotion was there.
I didn't sell it.
Yeah.
I am not a paid voice actor. Yeah.
Well, now I can understand why people went on strike.
Yeah, right.
Because, oh my Lord,
there are many recordings of you and I on the internet, Cormac. We definitely should be concerned about deep fakes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to just write an episode in AI, voice it, not video, but an audio episode.
No, they have that too, by the way. I haven't gotten there yet, but they have that too.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, if you were more of a writer, this is definitely a thing that's happening on YouTube, is there are people who will write a script and they don't want to speak it into a microphone and they don't want to record that. And so they will have a voice from 11 Labs. It turns out if you go to like the kind of standard voices that they offer, I think the voice named Adam is pretty much the one on all the YouTube videos out there that you can really tell that are being read by an AI speech bot. Right. But I think it's super crazy that somebody would rather write an entire script than just say it. But there are a lot of people who have hang-ups when they speak, and they don't want to edit audio. They just want to type the text in, and they just want to hit go and have it read it for them. And so that this is a thing that's happening all the time.
Think about how, say, if we start showing a lot more video of architecture or places like that, and we want to do more of a voiceover than anything else. There you go. We could do a voiceover by basically typing up the script of exactly what we want to say, make Cormac sound a little bit smarter than he clearly, and
so
away
so
we
you
go.
Type it up, Cormac, then you go to ChatGPT and you say, write this better.
I was like, make me smarter.
Tone sophisticated.
Yes.
And then you take that, you put it into 11 Labs, it says it, and there you go. You have the audio. And you literally can do the video version too. If you send it video of you speaking, video, it will then take that and it will manipulate it into video, and you'll match it up to the audio, and you can have a talking head video.
And then I'll throw the old eyebrow up and I'll say, and if we look at the juxtaposition of the interstitial spaces as we...
Yeah,
it will make
let me pull out the glossary of architects and architecture here.
There you go.
We'll do a reading.
Always have that.
An AI reading of an ArchiSpeak.
Yeah, a reading by Evan Troxel. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house.
So one of the things I saw today when I was doing this, I was having a great time doing this, by the way. One of the new voices on here is Santa. They actually have Santa. So you could write your own note to your kids and play it in Santa's voice, download the MP3, and you're off to the races. A personalized note from Santa.
I'm curious because, it's been a while, but Waze used to have like voices of, different things. Like, you could have your directions given to you by a boy band or whatever. Well, they at one point in time had Mr. T. And it was just like, turn left, fool. And awesome. And it was just like, I'm curious if like they just, did a voice over Chat GPT or an AI voice of Mr. T to kind of like overlay onto some of these just typical. I mean, what was interesting is like when they had that voice, they did not use like street addresses or street names and stuff. They would just say, instead of saying like, turn left on Woodward Avenue, they would just say, turn left, fool.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Well, this was fun. A little show and tell episode. The final episode of 2023. I can't believe the year's done. This is crazy.
Right? And I will say, I couldn't have picked a better co-host to do it with.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, so good. So good. You should have seen the grin on my face when I heard you say the words, when your fake AI voice said the words.
He loves me. He really loves me.
So good.
And then as you saw my reaction by hearing it, like...
Yeah, so good.
So self-indulgent.
I couldn't wait for you to hear it. I couldn't wait for the eye roll. So good. Well, thanks, man. That was a good episode. Yeah. Fun, and I guess I'll see you next year.
Yeah, and a great year of podcasting, and thanks.
Yep,
it's been a journey.
You.
Have a happy new year.
You too.
To everyone.
To all. Yes, all you listeners. Thanks.